My name is Bruno van Varenberg. I'm a culinary specialist for The Big Bakery. This creation is the celebration cake of Leonardo Di Carlo. Leonardo Di Carlo is a famous pastry chef in the north of Italy, and he's also the ambassador for The Big Italy. And for the 100 years of The Big, he created this celebration cake. The celebration cake is really special because there are a lot of new techniques involved. And this is what we are going to share with you. We start with mango cream. So for the mango crème, we use the Debic stand-and oven, 35% cream, mango puree and inverted sugar. We're going to whip it together, medium speed. We're going to pipe nice decorations in these circles, and then we're going to freeze it. This is very smooth mango cream. So don't whip the cream too far, so you still have a nice and soft velvet mango cream. It's easy to make this kind of decorations in the circle. Afterwards, after blast freezing, we are going to glaze it with the red raspberry jelly. So therefore we need a really strong, hard frozen decoration, and this circle you're going to put on the cake as decoration. For the crème of Earl Grey tea, we need tea, of course, mascarpone, icing sugar, rice flour and gelatin mass. So after 10 minutes, we're going to strain this tea. We're just going to adjust until the 400 ml again. The 400 grams of Earl tea. We're going to bind with the rice flour and afterwards with the gelatin. So as you see, it binds really easy, smooth and shiny. Now we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. The gelatin mass, icing sugar, so everything is mixed now very well. The only thing I have to do is to add the mascarpone. This is a fantastic, elegant crème. It will bind with a mixture of rice flour and also the gelatin mass. This we have to leave to cool down. And at the moment it's completely cold. After 2 hours, maybe if you can make this the day before, we can whip it and we're going to pipe it into silicone molds. So the mango cream is completely frozen. We're going to glaze them immediately. So we prepared all components for the celebration cake. We have our tea crème, we have our sponge cake. Now we are going to make our mousse with lemon and white chocolate. Therefore, we're going to heat the milk with the zests. I like to play with lime and lemon just for the color. As you can see, you have a really nice green color. Okay, it will disappear, of course, with the white chocolate and the cream. So we bring it to a boil, as you can see, and we strain it immediately on and over the white chocolate. When you are making a small recipe, this is for 2 entremets, it's not necessary to need a mixer. I prefer to make my emulsions with a mixer, but in this case You can make it by hand, by stirring and taking the white chocolate bit by bit, not immediately, bit by bit, as you can see, to make a perfect emulsion. This is something that the consumer will not feel or see. This is almost aromatherapy. We have the lime, we have the lemon, we have the tea later on. So it's a pleasure to make this celebration cake. Melted gelatin mass. So when you reach with this mixture around 35 degrees, that's the perfect moment to mix with whipped cream. In this case, we are going to work with the big stand and overrun. It's a 35%. Fluffy enough, still a full taste of cream. Small part, the first mixture. This is perfect to mix with the rest of the cream. Our crémeux of tea, our Earl Grey tea, is made, is cooled down, is a nice and elastic crème pâtissière, in fact. I'm going to pipe a nice layer of the crémeux. Close it with a second layer of biscuit, sponge cake, duchesse, whatever. And now I'm ready to fill these circles, these entremet circles, with the mousse that we've prepared. So, blast freezer. Little bit of syrup. And this is the mango mousse with the glaçage. So the second one I made a little bit bigger, less regular, but it gives you always a nice arty decoration on this cake. So this celebration cake of Leonardo DiCarlo is built up as follows. A bottom of pâte sablée with hazelnut powder, sponge cake. The mousse is a mousse of lime and white chocolate, and inside a nice thick crémeux made with Earl Grey tea. For the exotic compote in this printemps creation, we need puree, mango puree, passion fruit, orange. We're going to make a kind of caramel. We're going to bind it with pectin and with gelatin, and at the end we will add fresh fruit, pineapple and mango. So we start to heat the glucose syrup together with the sugar. At the moment that the glucose syrup starts to melt, we can add the fruit in. There is also a vanilla pot in the puree. When the fruit is around 40-45 degrees, we can add the mixture, pectin and sugar. Always make a mixture an advantage, because otherwise you will get too fast and too easy clumps, and this is not what we need. Bring it to a boil for about 1 minute. so you receive the optimal binding of the pectin with the fruit. I take out the vanilla pod. Watch out because it's very hot. Don't take it with your fingers. Add the fruit. I stop the heating plate. The gelatin mass and the juice of lemon. So the compote is ready. Now we're going to portion the fruit into this silicone molds. Of course you can use a mixer to make it as a complete compote without pieces, but I prefer to have small pieces in my cake. So in the meantime I'm whipping the Debic Prima Blanca. It's a 40% extra homogenized white cream. Perfect for this kind of gâteaux. This printemps is on the bottom of sablé breton. You're going to use some sponge cake, going to soak it with the rest of the exotic syrup, and we prepared our compote. It's in the freezer, and that's the layer of fruit. Nothing more than that. Sugared Prima Blanca. I don't whip it too far. I don't like it when whipped cream is grainy, certainly when you have to pipe or to decorate, so I prefer to stop at 90%. In France we call this bec d'oiseau. So bring the cream upwards to avoid as much as possible air bubbles. Our first layer of Duchesse. The rest of the exotic syrup. Our frozen exotic compote. See the pieces of pineapple, mango. And our second layer of sponge. So now I'm just going to close these circles. Did you know that if you work with a sugared cream like a Prima Blanca with a high fat content, that it perfectly works to put this in the freezer? So you can make 90, maybe 95% of the mise en place of these kind of cakes during the week, so that on Saturday, on Sunday, on the peak hours, that you only have to decorate it with fruit and with the piping bag. I'm going to freeze it for half an hour, demold it, and then we're going to decorate it. The other possibility is, it's another kind of decoration, fruit in the middle, and then we pipe afterwards. This is the printemps. Sponge cake, duchesse, a nice sablé breton, compote of exotic fruit, pineapple, mango. You can use something else. You can also use coconut, for instance, passion fruit. Make it strong enough on the inside, and for the rest, a lot of cream. The big prima blanca, pineapple, mango. Enjoy! First, we start with a nice duchesse or sponge cake in the circles. We're going to prepare the yogurt white chocolate mousse, the crunchy layer, and the compote of blueberries. Now we start with the yogurt lime mousse. First, I prepared this the day before, so the lime zests are very soft. They didn't cook, but just for one night, and some syrup gives you a totally other texture than fresh zests. Yogurt without fat, you don't need full fat yogurt. I'm going to prepare a nice light mousse with the Het Debic natop. For those who prefer to soak the sponge cake, you also can use this syrup. It's very elegant, you don't need alcohol, this is perfect to soak the biscuit. So for the crunchy layer, we need milk chocolate. This is a milk chocolate, 36%. Hazelnut praline, 60%, 50-50 is also okay. Feuilletine and chopped and slightly roasted almonds. Crisp pearls, this we are going to mix together. We put them in these silicone molds. We are not going to force it, because otherwise it's too compact if you cut your cake. So first of all, we're going to melt this in the microwave, the milk chocolate and hazelnut praline. So not too hot, but 50 degrees. The feuilletine and the chopped almonds. And the dark crisp pearls. Nice mixed together. And this mass. So I'm not going to force it to make it as a compact bottom. This is not necessary. I prefer that this crunchy bottom is cuttable when it's in your cake. So we melt the white chocolate. In the meantime, I'm also going to melt the gelatin mass. In this case, it's necessary because we don't have a hot preparation. Then you really have to melt the gelatin mass. We have our melted chocolate, 40-45 degrees. Our mixer yogurt with lime. We're going to add the gelatin mass to the yogurt. Not too much. It's not necessary that we have a complete soaked sponge cake, but some accents of this elegant perfume makes your cake different. I always use 1/3 of the whipped cream. In this case, it was the Het Debic natop. It's a very light and fluffy cream alternative. And then after that, as you can see, I fold in the rest of the whipped natop. Perfect. The crunchy layer. You see it's almost transparent because I didn't force it together. And this is the blueberry compote, also frozen. This will be our third layer. And now we will close with the rest of the mousse. We put this in the freezer just to harden it. Afterwards it's easier to make the decoration with the spray gun and with the glaçage. So, the Berriolette, originally created by Christophe Roussems, pastry chef of Wittemer in Brussels. He developed this cake made with natop, lime and yogurt mousse, blueberry on the inside, and a crusty bottom of sablé breton.